Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and now that my two informative videos are done for the day, I want to talk about current events in the online fitness community, and there's nothing funny about this one, so I'm going to put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing. Work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Yes, I saw the video. I let people know the day it came out. A few hours after it came out, I was linked it. I saw it. I listened to the entire thing. Okay? Now, the person who put it up, there's a lot of rumors about who they may or may have been or have not been. Nobody knows who put that up. Nobody knows why they chose to put it up. They pulled it back down, though. It said, when I checked the website, it says the user pulled it down, and it looks like other people have started re-uploading it. Here's where I want to go with this. I want to talk about how this affects this community more than anything else. I don't really want this to be about Rich. The reason for that is there a lot of stuff that happened in that video that we could throw the guy under the bus over, that we could judge him over? Yeah, there is. There's a lot of it. He's dead. The guy's dead. Does it really matter what people's opinion of a dead person is now? He's gone. If you decide he did a bunch of illegal, terrible stuff in the video, it's not like he can go to jail. It's not like he can be arrested. It's not like he can be charged with anything. It's over. It's done. He's gone. He's dead. He's dead. At a certain point, you got to let go and say, okay, maybe this doesn't matter. What concerns me, though, is a couple of things that I really want to talk about as far as people's interpretation of it. And one of the things I want to talk about is how people get this form of celebrity worship that they have, that they see people and they form their own ideas, whether it's really positive or really negative of a person, almost to the point to where they worship or totally despise people who are public figures, whether they're a TV personality or now YouTube personalities. You know, people form their own crazy ideas about people, and they just decide they hate someone to an absolute for no real reason, or that they love this person, that they think that they're an amazing, almost as like this demigod status that they give people. And it's really bizarre. And at a certain point, I think this shows that people need to step back and realize everybody on your TV, everyone on YouTube, they're real people. We have good traits, we have bad traits. There's good and bad in every one of us. Some of us, there's a lot more good than bad and more bad than good. But we're all real people with flaws. We're all flawed human beings. Rich was a very flawed human being. He wasn't a saint, and hopefully everyone realizes that. And I want to jump back to that in a minute, of people talking about, you know, who they look up to, of really stepping back and saying, just because they're on the screen and they're famous and making money, is that really what you want to look up to? Is their life really all that perfect? Is it that great? I'm going to say Rich's wasn't. Because we want to look at this situation and look at what happened with him and Sarah. They were both drug addicts. These are both people who had serious drug problems. They both had serious problems. Neither one of them are a good person or a bad person. They're just really messed up people. It killed Rich. All right, you guys need to put that in perspective. This guy died because of this. He's dead because of how messed up a person he was in certain ways. He's dead. Okay? Sarah got with him. She was a messed up person already when she got with him. And, you know, I'm going to step back and say, you know, a lot of people idolize him, like, well, he lived like a lion. Look at the sort of people he drew into his life. And people will sit there and they want to bash Sarah and say, well, she's this terrible person because of this video or other stuff. And I would say, what sort of people do you think someone like Rich is going to draw into his life? This is a guy who now we know, based upon this, I told you guys I had independent sources and I had not heard of any of this. I didn't know this video existed or this recording existed when I said these things. When I said Rich was dealing, I was basing it upon multiple independent sources who told me in person or over the phone in various ways. At least two people told me in person they had bought their gear from him. All right? Two different people who didn't know each other. All right, I heard this from a lot of different people. I talked to other YouTubers in the past, and they said, yeah, we've all kind of heard this thing. We know. Everybody knows. Then you got evidence in this video. He was selling drugs right there in the video with it being recorded. Selling Anabar. To someone who was a multiple-time buyer. It was very clear in there. That's undeniable. He's a guy who basically, in spite of his YouTube, was dealing drugs, had his own bigorexia issues, his own issues with drug addiction, issues with violence, all right? The evidence was out that he beat his first wife. He slapped Genova on camera. Then we're seeing this stuff that he looks like he was abusive with his second wife. All right, what sort of women do you think a guy like that's going to draw into their life at a certain point? Look at the way that he lived his life, and I want you to think about the sort of women he's going to attract and be with. Put that in perspective for all of you who say, man, I'd love to have Rich's life. Do you really? I mean, certain aspects of it. But look at the quality of people he drew into his life. Look at the people he drew into his life. You think you're going to get a girl who's going to be good to you if you live your life like that? You really think that? And we want to get back to that in a minute too, but here's the thing. A lot of people, and this is what upset me the most with everyone's reaction, is I saw a lot of people saying she deserved it. I saw people in the comments of that first video were saying things like, a woman steals from you, she deserves to get hit, she deserves to be beat. A woman does this, she deserves to be beat. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, you know what? I don't think it's ever okay to hit your girlfriend or your wife. I'm not talking about Rich. I'm talking about everyone out here, all of us. It's not acceptable. You know what? I had an ex-wife who stole from me too. I had an ex-wife who stole money from me. Now, you could argue that it's not really stealing legally, is it? Because you're married to him. It's called community property. Your debts, unless you live in a place where the law says otherwise, where I live and where he lived in California, your debts are her debts are your debts. If she owed money to people, he owes money to people. She takes some of your community property and sells it to pay off a debt. It's not technically stealing. Now, in this case, looked like she took some of his possible illegal stuff, sold it or traded it for services due to maybe people she owed money to over other illegal services. Get into a tricky area, aren't we? But you know what? She stole from me. I never hit her. I never slapped her. I didn't hit her with a fist. I didn't hit her with an open hand. I didn't ever strike her for it. You know why? Because it's not appropriate. At a certain point, when I decided it wasn't going to work, I walked away and left that marriage, and I divorced her. And that's what I would say to people. It's never, ever okay to abuse your spouse. And you know what? I'm going to go out and say this accounts to women too. Let's not just pick on the guys. Abusing your romantic partner physically is never acceptable. Because you know what? Men get hit by their girls too, don't they? There are dudes who get beat up by their woman. And then they're scared to go talk to the police because the police will make fun of them. Oh, you let a little girl beat you up. Oh, that's real funny. How hard she hit you? Was she 110 pounds? How hard she hit you, bro? She whooped your ass? Good for her. They get made fun of. They know that. A lot of places they get embarrassed by it. And maybe they were strong enough to overpower her because they didn't want to hurt her. They didn't defend themselves because they love their girl, but she's physically abusive. Maybe she's a violent alcoholic. This happens both ways, guys. Doesn't it? Yeah, we know it does. Happens both ways. That's not okay either. Not okay to abuse a person that you claim to care about or you claim to love. It's not okay. It's unacceptable. And that was the disgusting thing to me, is that people were like, well, she deserved it. You're condoning that sort of behavior. It's not okay. It's not okay to hit your wife. It's not okay to hit your girlfriend. It's not okay to hit your boyfriend. That's not okay. And at a certain point, we as a society have to be mature enough and enlightened enough to step back and say, yeah, that's not right. That's not okay. It's not. And that was a disgusting thing to me, where how many people were saying that. I'm not saying she's a good person. I'm not defending what she did, because I'm not. I'm not defending her behavior. I'm not defending stealing from your husband to pay for your drugs. All right, that is totally unacceptable also. But a person doesn't deserve to be beat by their romantic partner. They don't deserve to be beat because of their behavior. All right, that's at a certain point, you might say, okay, well, they deserve some punishment, but it's not okay to do that. Never okay to do that. And I would hope that's something that all of us here are mature enough and as a society to step back and say, okay, yeah, that's right. It's not okay. It's not okay. And that was the thing that bothered me the most. That's the reason I want to talk about this video, is because of that. That's what I saw people saying. And they want to act like one person was right or one person was wrong in this situation. That whole video was full of wrong. That whole video was an example of two people who have a drug problem. They have their own set of mental health problems. All right? They have their own addiction problems. Who had really a horrific fight. That was a horrific domestic fight that we had to listen to over theft, over drug abuse, and it turned violent. All right, that's not right. There was nobody right in any of this. It was wrong all the way around. And then we got to hear about other people who, it looks like who are still alive and out there who may have stolen from Rich. Apparently he was saying Big Boy stole from him in there. I don't know the details of that. I don't know how much. I don't know the circumstances. I don't know what Big Boy may or may not have stolen from him. But that's out there now with the video. Because he was saying it right there. But that's the other thing too. Interesting. You didn't see anyone saying, oh, well, maybe he should go slap Big Boy around. No, you did. I didn't see any of that in the comments. It was she deserved it. It's like this whole mentality of these guys who are like, oh, it's okay to go slap a woman around, but I'm not going to go slap a other dude who deadlifts 800-900 pounds when he steals from me. But, he's also sitting here as a drug dealer involved in illicit activity, and a dude steals from him, and he lets it go. Think on that one, too. It's not like you need to hit another guy to take care of it. There are other ways to do it, but it's kind of a side point. No one was in there saying, oh man, he should have gone after him too. No one said that. It was, oh, she deserved it. I'm glad he hit her. Really? They were both drug addicts. All types of money going around all of it. And that kind of comes back to my other point. We put people on these different pedestals. And people see these people with certain things that they display of being larger than life, and not realize that sometimes that larger for life, there's nothing good going on in their life. I want you guys to think about that. The entire time people are sitting here going, oh man, I'd love to have his life. Look how messed up his life was. Look at the screaming you heard to his first wife over the whole Magic Johnson thing and the end lover and all that video. Then we have this where he's happening. He's still selling gear, guys. The guy's selling gear just last year in that recording. He's still caught up in that game. Still dealing with women who are stealing from him. Everything else. Got other men stealing from him. Drug abuse problems, addiction problems, anger problems. His life wasn't that great, guys. His life wasn't that great. There were good aspects to it. But man, when you step back and look at that, a lot of people are like, this guy's got it made. I made videos saying that. I'm like, dude, you got to quit killing yourself. You're going to die. You got everything. You got a beautiful wife. You got a big, beautiful house. You got a Bentley, a Maserati, 1 million fans. What the hell are you doing to yourself? Did he really have all of that? Maybe not. Didn't have all that. He wasn't happy. He was unhappy. He was miserable even with those things. And look at the world that he created around himself, and people looked up to that. That was a man who was suffering. That was a man who was hurting. He was hurting. He was a deeply, deeply troubled individual. The sight enhancement should have told you that. He was a deeply troubled person who didn't get the help that he needed for his drug addiction, for his anger, for his self-esteem issues. Look where it got him. He's gone. He's dead. 46 years old, dead. People adored him and looked up to him. His life wasn't that great. We can all do better. And that's what I would say to the people out there who are like, but I was a fan. I really liked the guy. You know what? But look how things were turning out for him. Look how his life really was. You can do better than that. You can build a better life for yourself, and you can be a better man than the guy you were looking up to. That's within you. It's a choice. That's within you. But when you stand there and you spend all your time looking up to these other people, Instead of saying, hey, why am I admiring and respecting this person? At the end of the day, maybe they're not even a good person. I want to do better. I can be better. I can do better. Because maybe he was doing the best that he could with what he had. As messed up as it sounds, maybe that was the best he could do. But it's up to you to be the best version of yourself. It's up to you to say, you know what, I can be a better man. I can do better. I can have a happy, fulfilling life. And I can go through my life without hitting my girls. I can go through my life without getting into legal trouble. Actualize your potential. Be the best version of yourself. Because when you start looking up to everyone else and you start trying to find heroes, what happens when you find out those heroes were deeply flawed men? Because they all are. All of our heroes are. Every person is a hero in the history books, and every person that we look up to, they're just as flawed and messed up as we are. Sometimes worse. And when you find out who they truly are, it's one hell of a letdown, isn't it? Spend all your time looking up to other men, idolizing them, making demigods out of them, putting them on a pedestal. Be the best version of you. Because at the end of the day, this guy had 1 million followers. People adored him. Look how unhappy he really was behind the scenes. Look how unhappy he was. The anger, the addiction, the early death, health problems. It's not good. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.